I did not have an NDE, but I had two major STEs, or close encounters with God, in 1989 and in 1995, when I was 25 and 31. First experience, 1989. Awakening from a dream. In the afternoon of a random day, while sitting on a bench under a large tree in a secluded square of a city center, suddenly and out of the blue I had a strong feeling of awakening, literally as in awakening from sleep. I felt as if I had just awoken, and my whole life before that was but a dream. I also felt that the person experiencing that dream was only a character in a story, transient, ephemeral, and non-substantial, and the I that awoke in that moment was not really him. In other words, I awoke into an I that was as much more real than him as he is more real than a fictional character in a novel. The astonishing size of space and time. Next, I became extremely aware of the incredible vastness of both space and time, and my exact position in it. I saw how extremely large the universe is. By saw, I actually mean felt with my whole being. Mind-boggling would be an understatement. It felt as if my being expanded to the whole of existence, both spatially and temporally. I felt the incredible vastness of the universe with all its galaxies, and the incredible, immeasurable length of time with all its eons, while at the same time feeling the precise position of the present moment and the place I was at in all that vast space and time. Right here, right now, in all that astonishing vastness. I was on this bench at this square of this city, in this country, on this continent, on this planet, in this system, in this galaxy of all galaxies, and the staggering empty space between them. And in this minute of this hour and day of this month, in this year of this century of this era. I strongly felt the particularity of that exact place and moment in the context of the whole universe and its history. Eternal now. Paradoxically, even though I was witnessing the mind-boggling size of time itself, I clearly saw that, in fact, there is no time. Or more precisely, that nothing is passing. It exists, but it is standing still, not coming and not going. All of its eons, eras, millennia, centuries, days, and minutes are in fact just one single moment, and it is the only moment there is. It is the very first moment of existence. It never passed, never passes, and the next moment never came and never will. 1. I could also clearly see that everything in that existence is in fact just one thing. Somehow, the infinite multitude of things and beings in existence is an illusion, and everything is in fact some nameless, formless one, single and undivided. And this one is conscious, and it is me. The I who awoke from the dream of this life was this one itself. Omnipresent presence. At some moment, I strongly felt being seen. I became aware that someone, some person, was quietly watching me sit on this bench and have this mind-boggling experience. But this person was everywhere, in all points of my visual field. Even though they were invisible, they were in fact more visible than anything else. As if they were hidden not behind or inside, but in front of everything, invisible yet more visible than all that was around me. Father. In a heart-stopping moment, I felt that this omnipresent and everlasting person is my Father. Father in a literal human sense. My direct parent who created me, and he was emanating pure bliss. His blissful smile, which was felt, not seen, is like the shine of 1,000 suns. Still, even though I strongly felt that the name of this person was Father, there was nothing patriarchal about him. In fact, the persona he emanated was of an extremely motherly disposition, warm and loving. Hence, I can fully understand that someone else could experience the same person as mother, or as a gender-neutral personage. To me, Father was simply what I strongly felt, and that is why I call him that. One with Father. The next equally astonishing surprise came soon, when I realized and felt that in fact I am him. I am you, I almost audibly exclaimed, shocked, and perhaps I even did, who knows. And yet, even though we were looking at each other, I felt no paradox in me being him at the same time, and both of us being one and the same person. After all, I was just fully aware that in reality there is just one thing which is conscious and therefore also a person, and it is the only person there is. Love. I also clearly saw that he is love. Again, literally, he simply is love, and love is him. Love is, so to speak, Father in liquid form. The warmth that we feel in our heart when we see a person or a thing we love, or are doing something we love, that warmth is God silently flowing through our hearts. It was clear that love is all there is. Love is literally the material and the only material of the universe. There is nothing but love in the universe, and no one but God, and God and love are just two names of the same thing, and it is the only thing that exists, the one. And this only thing that exists is also a person in a very human sense. Father. Maya, the cloud of worries. Since at that time in my life my spiritual journey had brought me into Eastern spirituality, at one moment I asked Father. From the literature I understood that the world around us is but an illusion, the Maya. But now I see that everything is actually infinitely more real than I ever imagined. For that was another aspect of the experience. Although this life's narrative is but a dream on some level, everything around me was just so present, far more here and present than it feels inside this dream. Maya is a Sanskrit term for the illusion of the world. To this, Father said, "That's not Maya. I'll show you what is not real. This is the illusion, this is Maya." And he moved my attention to the multitude of people walking along the alley behind the cathedral, which was in front of me at the square. He was very saddened by what he was showing me. I looked, and people were passing on their way to shops, jobs, schools, and homes, each in their own thoughts. And above the people there was a thick layer of something, stretching in all directions where there were people, starting from a few meters above their heads and being about a dozen or so meters thick. Something ghastly, a floating layer of permanent spasm, a kind of soul cramp, like a smoky dark cloud, but I did not physically see it, so it was not literally dark. I somehow felt it from the inside like a kind of magnetic field. I clearly felt that this cloud is made from worries. It was somehow connected to the people under it, and was feeding off their worrying thoughts and emotions, and feeding them back in a vicious loop. These worries, these imagined futures that worry us, these visualized bad situations in our imagination that put fear in our hearts but we still imagine them, these possibilities that we fear although they have not actually happened, these bad scenarios we churn in our heads. These projections of ours, that is the illusion. It does not exist because it is only imagined. That is Maya. The scene with the cloud of worries was the last part of this experience, and as soon as thoughts, more precisely words and thinking in sentences, started reappearing, the feeling was flying away unstoppably and fast. Within seconds, I was again just myself sitting on a bench, now only remembering the waking state from a dream, just as we usually remember a dream from the waking state. Second experience, 1995. Intro and context. This time, the experience was not wholly spontaneous. I invited it by sitting in meditation during a certain spiritual crisis, determined not to leave the spot until I got any kind of answer from Father about an issue that was bothering me greatly. I was not in fact practicing any form of meditation at the time. I was just very determined that I would rather die sitting and waiting for an answer than continue my life without it. So I sat there in a park on a lake islet for hours, not moving my body or even my eyes, staring at one point and just waiting. After about 4 or 5 hours, it suddenly happened. Roaring silence. First, I heard the silence. I suddenly became aware of some omnipresent and ever-present silence, inaudible to a normal ear, but actually much more audible and paradoxically louder than all the sounds of the world. It is an absolute, deaf silence, but incredibly loudly silent. There is no other word. Or incredibly silent, but enormously big is another way to describe it. Sounds of the world may be louder than it, but then again the silence is much larger than the world. It was like suddenly hearing the absolute silence of outer space, beyond the confines of our planet. And yet, just like the invisible Father, this silence was hidden not behind but in front of all other sounds around me. Only later in life I found out that some Eastern schools know of this phenomenon and call it the roaring silence. Wall of light. At the same time, this silence felt like some incredibly and indescribably huge wall of light. This silence is the sound of that wall. And I saw and knew that this wall of light was God Himself, in His unimaginable and incomprehensible size. I call it a wall because I had an impression of an infinite and vertical surface of light. That is, God is endlessly larger than the created world. I clearly saw how the physical universe, the same universe whose seemingly incomprehensible size I witnessed and felt directly 6 years earlier, was but a tiny dark speck on this immeasurable shining expanse which is God. So much greater is the Creator than His creation, or at least than this physical universe. Playful child who is Father of all beings. After a while, I suddenly saw Him again in front of me, again invisible yet visible, and everywhere around me at the same time. And again He was smiling with His incredible shine. But smile is actually not a good term for what I saw this time. A giggle is a more accurate description of what I now felt. It was just like a little child having difficulty restraining its laughter with a hand while playing hide and seek when spotted by a third person not playing the game. Because I saw that he saw that I see him, and I could almost see a finger on his lips, and hear a silent hee-hee. This time it did not feel as if we did not see him by our own mistake. It was as if he was almost intentionally hiding from us in a cheerful and merry game. SSSHHH, you see me now, but don't tell anyone. I could almost hear through this incredibly cheerful, shiny smile and giggle and laughter. However, this time I did not explicitly feel that I was him. And since I knew I was looking at the only person there is, I was puzzled as to who I was then. Who is seeing you then? I asked in my heart. Instead of an answer, I was suddenly immersed in a strange vision. Hall of Sleepers. Namely, I suddenly found myself on the floor of a large hall, waking up from sleep along with many other people. The hall was full of people lying on the floor, many sleeping, some also waking up. Apparently I had been asleep on the floor, and now I was waking up, just like many of the other people around the hall. And the dream that I was waking up from was my life, this life. I remember being so surprised that it was all but a dream. So this time life turned out to be even more of a dream, literally dreamed while I was lying unconscious. Standing next to me was an extremely cheerful little old man, and at the same time somehow standing next to everyone else without being visually multiplied in my memory, that I immediately knew was my father. Actually, I and everyone else was recognizing him from before the sleep. And as we were waking up and rising from the floor, we were all rising directly into his waiting and loving embrace. And remembering our dreams in this waking moment, regardless of them being just dreams, we were all astounded, suddenly realizing how selfish, arrogant, and stupid we were in our dreamed lives, and especially upon seeing and recognizing the all-good Father, we were terribly ashamed of how badly and selfishly we behaved in the dreamed lives. We wanted to apologize and to cry with shame, but the little old man did not even want to start to listen to our self-loathing moans. He already knew everything about it, and he was shutting us up immediately with an indescribably shining smile that was actually barely holding itself from bursting into laughter, because there was some incredibly great and merry thing, or even a joke, that he had on his mind and could not wait to show us. To the still confused and ashamed us, he was saying, "Hush! I know what you did and want to tell me, but don't worry about that. It's really all okay. Hush! It's not important. Come here. Look at this." He totally could not wait for us to stop moaning over our shameful lives. He was in a hurry to show us something much more important, something incredible in the other room, or simply outside of this hall. He was calling and escorting us towards the only door in the hall's walls, in a corner. Behind this door was this incredibly great something he wanted to show us, the beautiful something because of which it did not matter how bad we were in our lives, some fantastic surprise that would instantly erase the sorrow and guilt from our hearts, a magnificent thing that is somehow connected to our dreamed-up lives but in some super special way that none of us dreamers expects. And this something is so glorious, great, and most of all so much fun that he literally has difficulty restraining himself from bursting into his incredible, endearing, shiny laughter. I did not see what it is. Just before we reached the door, the vision ended and I returned to myself on the lake, sitting stunned and looking at the thin rain falling among the trees. But I sure cannot wait for the day the dearest Father will show me his thing, the God's unimaginably great, incredible cosmic joke.